Alania's discovery at 3:47 a.m. Inspector Alania stepped into his office, holding a brown envelope dropped anonymously at the front desk. He opened it. Inside, a flash drive, a handwritten note, "For justice. Listen carefully," he inserted the drive into his laptop. A grainy audio file began to play. Zainab's voice, "Make sure that file disappears before Monday. If Vincent talks, we're all finished." Another voice, Joshua's, "But what about the girl, Carolyn? She's just a worker, collateral. Remove her if you have to." Alania's hands curled into fists. "This is it," he muttered. "We've got them." Caroline's question at the guest house. Caroline sat on the balcony, the night breeze brushing her cheeks. Vincent joined her with 2 cups of warm tea. "Dad," she said softly, still getting used to that word. "Yes, my dear. Do you think I'll ever be safe again?" Vincent looked at her, this daughter he had found so late, yet loved so deeply. "You will be," he said, "because I'll make sure of it, and Elonie will too." She nodded, wiping a quiet tear. "I just want to live normally, to be free from all this." "You will," he repeated, "but we must finish what we started." Zainab's ultimatums. Zainab stood before her legal team in a hidden compound. "The file's gone. Someone recorded us. That means we have a traitor." She turned to Joshua. "You were there. You handled the drive. Did you let it leak?" "No," he said. But his voice lacked confidence. Zainab's eyes narrowed. "If I go down," she warned, "I'll take everyone with me." A message from Alanita that morning. Vincent's phone rang. "Inspector Alania," he answered. "Good news, we have the recording. Zainab is finished." "You're sure?" "We'll arrest her within 48 hours. But Vincent, I need your help." "What is it?" "She's leaving the country. We want her to feel safe, so she lets her guard down. You'll invite her for one last meeting. Somewhere public. We'll take care of the rest." Vincent exhaled slowly. "I'll do it. The meeting is set." Vincent texted Zainab later that afternoon. "Let's meet. One last time. No lawyers, no games, just truth. 10 a.m. Harbor Cafe. Don't be late." Her reply came quickly. "Fine, I'll be there." He turned to Carolyn. "Stay here, no matter what. Do you understand?" "Yes," she said, but her eyes were full of worry. Harbor Cafe. Shutua Zainab stepped out of a black SUV in dark sunglasses, her steps confident, calculating. Vincent was already seated at the far corner of the cafe's open-air section. He stood when he saw her. "You're late," he said. "You're lucky I came at all," she replied, removing her shades slowly. Zainab sat. For a moment, they simply stared at each other. Two people who once shared trust, now divided by betrayal. "Why now?" she asked. "Why the sudden meeting?" Vincent took a deep breath. "Closure." Zainab smiled faintly. "Closure. After you went to the press. After your little detective friend started sniffing around. You stole from me, lied to me, nearly destroyed Caroline's life." Zainab narrowed her eyes. "You're not innocent either, Vincent. You wanted the truth, but only when it served your pride." He paused. "This isn't about pride. This is about right and wrong." The Siglum, meanwhile, at a discreet distance. Inspector Olani sat in an unmarked car with 2 officers and a recording device. He spoke softly into a hidden mic. "Target is seated. Do not move in until I give the signal." Inside the cafe, Vincent reached into his coat pocket. Zainab's eyes followed the movement. "Careful," she whispered, her smile tight. "I'd hate for this to end badly." Vincent pulled out a folded paper, not a weapon, just the original receipt of the stolen funds she had rerouted. The paper had been traced, verified, and linked to her signature. "You remember this?" he asked, sliding it across the table. Zainab didn't touch it. "You're wasting your time." Vincent leaned in. "I'm giving you one chance. Confess. Clear Caroline's name. End it." Zainab's lips curled. "You think this is enough to break me?" From the earpiece, Alania's voice crackled into Vincent's ear. "Now." Vincent nodded slightly. "I don't have to break you," he said. "You already did that yourself." The arrested Zainab opened her mouth to reply. A group of officers in plain clothes surrounded the table. Bello Alanier announced calmly, badge in hand. "You're under arrest for conspiracy, financial fraud, and attempted coercion." Zainab froze. "What?" she spat. "You set me up." Vincent stood slowly. "You set yourself up. We just gave you the mirror." As the officers cuffed her hands behind her back, Zainab looked at Vincent one last time. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "No," Vincent said quietly. "I'm finally free. Back at the guest house, Carolyn was pacing when Vincent walked in. "It's done," he said. She ran to him. "They got her." He nodded. "Zainab is in custody. And the file, with your name on it, all cleared. Your record is clean." Tears filled Caroline's eyes. "It's over. Almost." Early morning, Vincent's apartment. The soft chime of Vincent's phone woke him before sunrise. One new message. "Unknown number. There's a letter waiting for you. From her. Check your mailbox." Vincent frowned. He threw on a hoodie, slipped on his sneakers, and walked down to the front gate. The security guard handed him an envelope, brown and slightly creased. "From Zainab Bello Prison Facility." Ikoye stared at the name for a long time before tearing. It opened. The letter, Zainab's voice. "Vincent, if you're reading this, then you've already made up your mind about who I am. That's fair. I never expected redemption from you, but I do expect honesty from myself now. Yes, I betrayed you. And yes, I lied about Carolyn, but not everything was a lie. There's something you don't know. Something that changes everything." The wallet Caroline returned. It was planted. Not by me, by someone else. Someone I thought I could trust. Someone who wanted to destroy you quietly. His name is Dapo Ajay. You might know him as your family lawyer. Vincent's hands trembled. His heart skipped. He whispered aloud. Dapo had been his late father's confidant. The one who managed the estate, the accounts, even the offshore records. Vincent always trusted him. The letter continued. "Dapo told me that Caroline was a liability, that you were becoming soft and distracted. He said she had to be exposed or removed. At first, I thought it was jealousy. But then I discovered something. Your father left a second will, and Caroline was named in it. The second will back, inside." Vincent scrambled to his safe and pulled out a file marked Benjamin A. Okafor Estate Affairs. The official copy of the will was there, but heavily redacted by legal oversight. "How could I have missed this?" he muttered, flipping pages. Then he remembered. Dapo had always handled the reading, always insisted on summarizing things for the family. But now the truth cracked through. Caroline wasn't just a kind stranger. She was someone his father had met before and wanted to protect. Flashback 6 years ago, Benjamin Okafor sat in his study, watching a small girl and her siblings eat jollof rice on the floor outside. "That girl," he said to Dapo. "She reminds me of your mother," Dapo replied. Benjamin shook his head. "No, she reminds me of me, when I had nothing. We'll find a way to help her," Benjamin added. Silently, present to Vincent, dropped the letter. "All this time, my father knew her." He stood up and grabbed his car keys. No more secrets. Meanwhile, at the worksite, Caroline, now dressed in lighter clothes and helping hand out lunch to workers, turned when she heard a familiar voice. "Caroline." She saw Vincent running toward her, letter in hand. "Vincent, what's wrong?" He stopped in front of her, breathless. "You need to come with me. There's something about my father. And you." "What do you mean?" she asked, stunned. "It's time you saw the truth for yourself." Okafor Family Estate, 2:45 p.m. The black SUV turned into the long driveway of the Okafor Estate, its tires crunching softly over the gravel. Caroline sat in the front seat, silent, staring out at the large gates that loomed ahead like the doors to another world, a world she had unknowingly brushed against years ago. Vincent gripped the wheel. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly, just confused. "You said your father knew me." "Not just knew you," Vincent replied. "He remembered you, and he cared enough to include you in his final will." Caroline's eyes widened. "But I never met your father. At least, I don't remember ever." "That's what we're here to find out." The gates opened, and they drove in. Inside the estates, the air inside the house was quiet, except for the ticking of a grandfather clock near the staircase. Caroline looked around. Every corner of the mansion spoke of wealth, of legacy, and something deeper, something hidden. Vincent led her to the private study of his late father, Benjamin Okafor. "This room was always locked," Vincent said, "but I've had the locksmith open it this morning. I think the answers are here." Caroline hesitated at the door. "Why would your father include me in a will? I didn't even know him." "That's what we've been told," Vincent said. "But Zainab's letter changes everything." The study, a room frozen in time dust, clung to the bookshelves. Faint light filtered through tall, closed curtains. On the large mahogany desk sat a framed photograph, a picture of Benjamin, and to Caroline's shock, a younger version of herself. Her breath caught. What is this?" She picked up the photo. It was her, maybe 10 years old, holding a bowl of food. Behind her stood a woman, her mother. That was during our old neighborhood food drive, she whispered. This man, your father, he was there. Vincent stared in disbelief. That means he didn't just see you once. He remembered you. A hidden file. Vincent opened a drawer and pulled out a thick file marked private. Foundation requests. Inside was a printed letter in his father's handwriting, to whom it may concern. Should anything happen to me, please ensure the following. A monthly stipend shall be transferred to the girl known as Caroline, Humidi, until she turns 21. Should she show interest in furthering her education or starting a business, the family legal advisor must approve a support grant. This is non-negotiable. Signed, Benjamin E. Okafor. Vincent looked up at her. My father set money aside for you. He wanted you to have a chance. Caroline was shaking. I never saw a kobo. We kept struggling. My mom died in debt. None of this ever reached us. Vincent clenched his jaw. That's because someone made sure it didn't. Enter Depo as if, on cue. The front door slammed. Downstairs. Voices. Vincent and Caroline turned to see the estate manager step into the study. Dapo Ajay, dressed in a fine gray suit, holding his usual leather folder. He froze when he saw Caroline. You, he said coldly. You've got a lot of explaining to do, Vincent snapped. Dapo remained calm. Be very careful, Vincent. Some things are better left buried. You buried them for a reason, Vincent shot back. But it's time we dig. Confrontation. You were my father's lawyer, Vincent continued. You knew about the second will. You knew about Caroline, and you withheld it. Dapo smiled, the kind that didn't reach his eyes. Your father was a kind man, but sometimes kindness blinds judgment. Giving away family money to a girl from the slums, that wasn't a legacy. That was pity. Caroline's eyes flared. You withheld money meant for a child. No, Dapo replied coldly. I redirected resources. That's business. Vincent stepped forward. That's theft. And you're going to do what? Sue me, please. That file you found, it's inadmissible without a notarized witness. You have nothing. But then, another voice came from the hallway. Actually, he does. Inspector Alanier walked in, followed by a young woman holding a camera and a USB stick. This man recorded everything, Alanier said, nodding to the tech assistant. The new confession. That's admissible. Dapo's face darkened. You tricked me. No, Vincent said. You tricked yourself. Aftermath. That evening, Dapo was taken into custody. The estate accounts were frozen for audit. Vincent's legal team began the process of reinstating Caroline's rightful share of the foundation. Trust. Caroline sat outside under the stars, silent. Vincent joined her. You okay? She looked up. It's overwhelming. All this, your father. He wanted to help us. He did help you. Just through time. A pause. And now, she asked quietly. Vincent smiled gently. Now, you decide what happens next. Not poverty. Not the past. You. She looked at him, eyes glistening. Thank you. Okafor Estate. A week later. The days passed quickly. Since the arrest of Ajay, the air around the Okafor Estate had changed. Lighter, calmer. Caroline, now staying in the guest house on the property, spent most of her time reading, journaling, and adjusting to the quiet comfort of a life she had never known, but she hadn't made any final decisions yet. The money hadn't changed her heart, it had simply given her options. This morning, a brown envelope arrived, addressed to her, handwritten, sealed with an unfamiliar wax stamp. She opened it slowly, her fingers trembling. It was a letter. To the girl with courage in her eyes. If you're reading this, it means the truth has reached you. I knew one day it would. You were never forgotten. After that day I saw you share your food with another orphan during the food drive. I wrote your name in my private notebook. I told my lawyer, not Dapo, the real one, to watch out for you, but Dapo silenced him. And by the time I discovered the betrayal, I was already fighting for my life. I hope my son Vincent has found you. I know he carries the same sense of justice his mother once had. You are not just a girl I tried to help. You are a living reminder that integrity lives even in poverty. Choose your next step wisely. The world needs women like you. Benjamin E. Okafor. Caroline folded the letter slowly, her heart full. She stood up and walked to the balcony, letting the breeze wash over her. Vincent's office. Later that day, Vincent was at his desk when she walked in. This came for me, she said, handing him the letter. He read it quietly. then looked at her, eyes soft. He wrote that, years ago. But somehow, it found its way now. Almost like he knew we'd meet, she said. Vincent smiled faintly. He believed in people, just like I believe in you. She sat across from him. I want to do something. Something that honors him, but also gives back. Vincent raised a brow, like, I want to start a literacy center. For street children, girls especially. Too many are forgotten, like I almost was. A long pause. Vincent stood, walked over, and extended his hand. Then, let's make it happen. The return of the stranger that evening, Caroline went to a small grocery store near the estate. She wanted to feel something normal again, pick her own vegetables, speak to people like she used to. As she stood near the bread section, a voice called out behind her, Caroline, Caroline, umiad. She turned sharply. A young man in a faded shirt and jeans stood behind her, tall, familiar. Her eyes narrowed. Olamide, he nodded. It's me. I can't believe it's really you. Her throat tightened. Olamide had been her neighbor for years, her childhood friend, the one who once walked her home when she was too afraid to go alone. What are you doing here? She asked softly. Olamide's face darkened. Looking for you. Why? He looked around, lowered his voice. Because something's coming, Caroline. Something dangerous. You're not safe. A shadow from the past to his Olamide. Caroline's heart pounded as Olamide spoke softly amidst the grocery store's fluorescent lights. Caroline, I'm glad you're safe right now, but something's wrong. She backed away slightly, brushing a hand across a loaf of bread as if anchoring herself in reality. What is it this time? She asked, voice steady, despite the fear rising. Olamide lowered his voice, his eyes darted around. People have been asking about you at the old neighborhood before the accident. Low-level men. They got photos your picture, with Vincent, your new life. He swallowed. They say they want the girl who ruined Dapo. They're dangerous, Caroline. She felt her breath go shallow. Why are they looking for me? He shook his head. It's not just about Dapo. Someone is using your story to hit Vincent where it hurts. They're trying to steal the foundation, records your name in the will. If they damage your reputation, they can erase you and take everything. A family conversation that evening. Caroline sat with Vincent and Mama in the drawing room. Tin lamps glowed softly. She shared Olamine's warning. His news felt real ominous. They're coming for me, and for the things that matter. Vincent held her hand firmly. I promised you safety, and I'll keep that promise. Mama's lined face softened. The truth always shines. But you must both be ready with wisdom. They all sat quietly, their trust renewed but trembling. Olamine's offer later. Olamide waited on a nearby bench as Caroline left. Vincent appeared at her side. I won't leave her, Vincent said firmly. Olamide nodded. Thank you, but I have information. Small photos, vehicle number plates, names. I know the area they're based in. He handed Vincent a folded photo. Be careful. Whoever they are, they think it's a job, not a crime. They won't stop until they get results. Vincent looked at the grainy photo. We'll prepare. A plan in motion that night. Vincent met with Detective Alanye privately. These men, they operate from an old warehouse near Apapa. I don't want to fire until I'm sure. Alanye studied the photo. You have it now. We move to contain. He outlined a plan, surveillance, securing Caroline's foundation papers in a private legal vault, and confronting the culprits before they strike. Vincent nodded. Then let's begin. Closing scene. As the Apapa skyline glittered in the distance, Caroline looked at Vincent, gripping his hand. I'm scared, she whispered. He pulled her close. Me too, but we won't be powerless. Together, under the soft rustle of wind through the veranda, they faced the gathering storm. Apapa warehouse, an IJHT fellow Vincent, and Detective Alanye moved in silently, wearing dark clothing and carrying tactical gear. Caroline and Mama tucked away in a secure safe house nearby. The warehouse door was padlocked, but the guard was easily suppressed with a swift takedown. Once inside, dim LED bulbs revealed stacks of crates and dusty office furniture. A man flicked through a laptop screen. Ivan Oak, mid-30s, lean, calculating. Beside him, two more men laughed and compared spreadsheets. Vincent signaled. Alani stepped forward. Police. Everyone hands, where I can see them. Ivan froze, his face a mask of disbelief. Who the hell are you? You know too much, Vincent replied. And you've been interfering with her life and ours. Unexpected protection. One of Ivan's men lunged suddenly, toward Caroline's foundation documents on the table. Before he could reach them, Mama, who had followed quietly into the warehouse, stepped between them. "Leave that paper alone," she commanded, voice low but strong. The man recoiled, shocked at her fierceness. Alania's team joined in, securing the scene. "Everyone detained," said the detective. "We'll be collecting evidence, and you're all going to jail soon." Ivan glared at Vincent. "You don't know what you're messing with," he spat. Vincent shook his head. "I know exactly who I am, and whose daughter she is." Back at the safe house, Caroline sat on the sofa, clutching the original foundation documents now safely recovered. Vincent joined her and wrapped an arm around her. "Mama was amazing," Caroline said, voice full of pride. "Your courage, theirs, it gave me courage I've never known." Vincent pulled her in. "You gave us the courage to fight." Mama entered with tea. "You see," she smiled, "the most powerful protection sometimes comes from the smallest voice." Caroline looked at both of them. Family. A fractured brotherhood leader Olamide appeared at the safe house door. He looked tense, remorseful. Vincent let him in. "You did this?" Vincent asked bluntly. Olamide knelt before him. "No sir, not me. But my cousin invited me to help them. I refused. Then they threatened my uncle. I didn't want to protect them, I wanted to protect you." He handed over phone records, showing his refusal. "I'm sorry." Carolyn looked at him, tears in her eyes. "I never stopped trusting you." Hope among the turmoil that evening. The family gathered on the veranda. The storm clouds had shifted. The moon peeked out. Vincent and Caroline shared a quiet moment. "They tried to break us," he said, "but they only made us stronger." Caroline smiled. "Our story isn't just about love," she said. "It's about faith that justice can still win." They held hands as the world seemed to pause around them. Saturday morning, the inauguration, the sun rose over the estate with a soft golden glow, illuminating freshly planted shrubs and jasmine vines. Volunteers gathered under a large tent outside the main lawn, arranging chairs while excited children and local families trickled in. The banner above the stage read Kanyesa, Center for Girls, Literacy and Empowerment. Caroline stood behind the podium in a simple, elegant dress, no makeup, only her natural strength shining through. Vinyl banners fluttered gently in the breeze. She closed her eyes for a moment, then stepped forward as Vincent guided her to center stage. "Today," she began with calm clarity, "this center isn't just about learning words, it's about rewriting futures." Applause rippled through the audience. Mama, seated in the front row, clasped Caroline's hand proudly, a promise to a generation. Throughout the morning, Caroline spoke with volunteers, donors, and parents who came to watch their daughters learn. Their stories poured out, girls who dropped out because of poverty, early marriage, or lack of support. As Caroline listened, tears glimmered in her eyes, but resignation did not follow. She walked around the classroom, placing books into eager hands. "Your story is your power," she told a shy 12-year-old. "Tell it with strength. Be the light in someone else's darkness." Later, Vincent joined her, unveiling a scholarship plaque with her name established in her honor. And shared spirit. She squeezed his hand. "We're making more than a building," she said. "We're making a movement." Vincent's trip bridged to the past. 5 days later, he found himself stepping off an international flight in Atlanta, Georgia, land of his second real estate company. His phone buzzed with emails from investors curious about the literacy center's model. He checked in with staff back in Lagos and stepped into a modern conference room at the corporate headquarters. He slid into a meeting with key stakeholders. "Our Lagos initiative is doing more than charity," he told them. "It's building literacy, confidence, and dignity. That model can scale." Charts unfolded, projected enrollment, community impact, financial sustainability. Investors nodded. One woman leaned forward. "You're touching lives and touching markets. That's what matters in global presence." Across town, Vincent sat late reviewing papers, fan mail from girls who said the center was the first place someone said, "They believed in me." He smiled, eyes glistening. His father's legacy and Caroline's vision were weaving into something much bigger than either of them had imagined. Mama's secret revealed. Back in Lagos, at dusk, Mama and Caroline turned to garden maintenance after a long day of orientation. Planting jasmine seedlings together, Mama paused. "Your mother, she saved lives," Mama said softly, "and she asked something years ago that I couldn't refuse." Caroline looked up. "Mama, what is it?" Mama knelt to place a sapling. "Your mother, she was more than gentle. She belonged to a line of educated women, teachers, writers. She left behind journals, unpublished stories, Caroline's breath-caught journals. Mama nodded. Yes, I kept them for years, hoping you'd be ready to read them. She pulled out a small wooden box, aged and warm to the touch, and handed it to Caroline. Inside were yellowed pages, stories in Amara's handwriting, lessons in courage, poems about hope, short stories about lost children and found dignity. Caroline's tears fell. This is her voice, she whispered. Now it lives on. Mama held her close. Evening reflection in quiet that night. Vincent returned home to the estate. Caroline was reading Amara's journal on the veranda under soft lights. He joined her quietly. Show me, he asked. She turned the pages. Lines that spoke of faith in the unseen, of naming dreams, of trusting the broken to rise again. Vincent's thumb traced familiar names. Amara's references to Benji, to singing under the sun, to humming lullabies for children she never had. Tears welled. They sat in silence. She was remarkable, Vincent said softly. And so are you. They clasped hands under the moonlight. We're continuing something bigger, Caroline replied. Together. A storm brews in the shadows. The Canissa Center had grown fast. In just a few months, nearly 80 girls were enrolled, some as young as 6, others in their late teens, all hungry for a chance. Caroline moved with purpose through each classroom, reviewing lesson plans, hugging students, and encouraging teachers who were beginning to feel like family. But with growth came attention, and not all of it was kind. That morning, as Caroline arrived, a slim man in a dark blue suit waited by the gate with a paper in hand. Miss Caroline, he asked, adjusting his glasses. You've been served. She frowned. Served. He handed her the envelope and walked away without a word. She stood still, the warm morning sun doing little to ease the sudden chill in her chest. She opened it. Her heart dropped. A petition to revoke her lease. Claim improper use of residential land for institutional activities. Caroline sat on a bench just inside the gate, her fingers trembling. But this land was gifted by Vincent, she whispered. The petition was signed by 3 property owners in the neighboring estate, people who had never spoken to her, but had apparently watched from a distance, uncomfortable with the attention and growing number of visitors. She dialed Vincent immediately. Vincent's return, a new front. Vincent was mid-call, in Atlanta, when Caroline's name flashed on his screen. He answered instantly. Caroline. Vincent, she said, her voice steady but tight. We have a problem. She read out the document to him. His jaw clenched. Send me a scan. I'll be on the next flight home. By the next evening, Vincent had landed in Lagos. No meetings, no pleasantries, just a drive straight to the estate with his lawyer beside him. They met under the shade of a mango tree outside the center. The children played in the background, oblivious. But Vincent's face was hard. They think they can scare us, he said. They're about to learn something new. Digging deeper. The real reason. By Monday morning, Vincent's legal team discovered something troubling. One of the petitioners was a board member at a private school less than a mile away. That school, once bustling, had begun to lose enrollment as families enrolled their daughters at Canissa for free. So it's not about zoning, Vincent muttered. It's about money. He slammed the file shut. We'll fight this, not just with lawyers. We'll fight with truth, with light. Meanwhile, in the classroom, despite the looming threat, Caroline insisted the girls continue their classes. She gathered the teachers. Let's not let them see fear, she said. Let them see faith. Every time we open a book, we win. One evening, she led the girls in a group reading of her mother's journal. They read aloud stories Amara had written about growing up during wartime, about finding strength and being silent when no one listened. It struck them deeply. One girl, barely 11, raised her hand. Auntie Caroline, she said softly, if they close this place, where will we go? Caroline knelt beside her. They won't, she said, because we are the story. And stories like ours never end. They rise. Mama's revelation later that week, as Caroline sat on the porch, Mama came to her with a small tin box. There's something your mother never shared, she began. Inside were 2 old letters sealed, but never sent. One was addressed to Vincent's mother, the other, to Caroline's father. Caroline's breath caught. My father. Mama nodded. His name was Iodiji. He was a journalist, fierce, honest, but he disappeared during the political unrest. Caroline held the letter tight. Why didn't she tell me? Mama's voice was low. She thought it would keep you safe. But maybe it's time you knew who you really are. Caroline opened the letter slowly. Inside were words her mother had written, in pain but with hope. She had loved Ayodeji, and Caroline was his legacy. You come from truth-tellers, Mama whispered. That's why this fight matters. It's not just about land, it's about light. The people respond when news of the petition reached the local radio and online community forums. A surprising thing happened. Parents started posting videos of their daughters reading books for the first time. Alumni from the center wrote heartfelt letters. And the next week, 2 journalists arrived at the center gates. We want to cover the story, one of them said. The real story. Caroline and Vincent shared everything, the beginnings, the struggle, and now, the threat. The article went viral. Headline: She returned a wallet. Now they want to take her school. A letter from the past. Caroline sat at her desk, the old letter from her mother still open in front of her. The words danced in her mind, especially one sentence. Ayodeji believed truth must be louder than fear, even when no one is listening. It echoed through her like a bell. She hadn't slept much since the journalist's article about Kanyesa went viral. The phone hadn't stopped ringing. Some calls were warm donations, praise, even anonymous gifts. Others were threatening, warning her to back down quietly before things got uglier. Still, Caroline stood firm. That morning, she met Vincent at a nearby cafe to plan their next move. We have to be strategic, Vincent said. They've gone from legal threats to intimidation. This is no longer about land. This is about silencing what we've built. Caroline nodded. Her eyes were tired but unshaken. Then we speak louder, she said. We show them who we are. The public hearing 3 days later, the petition reached the local development committee, prompting a public hearing. The town hall was packed. Parents, teachers, former students, reporters and the petitioners. Vincent arrived in a charcoal suit, calm and composed. Caroline came, dressed simply, holding the hand of a 10-year-old girl who once lived under a bridge. When it was her turn to speak, Caroline stood slowly, looked around, and said, My name is Caroline. I am not a lawyer. I am not rich, but I represent voices that were never supposed to be heard. This school was not born in comfort, it was born in struggle. And no piece of paper, no power built on fear can silence truth. Kanyesa is not a threat. We are a promise. The room erupted in applause. Even some on the panel looked moved. The lead petitioner, Mr. Olandrewaju, shifted in his seat, visibly uncomfortable. Then a voice from the back stood up. I object, the voice said. It was a man in a gray egg. Caroline recognized him from the newspaper photos. Chief Aotund, one of the wealthiest education magnates in the region. He owned the private school that had lost students to Kanyesa. This is not a personal war, he began. But we cannot allow disorder in residential estates. Emotions do not build nations. Order does. Vincent stood up, respectfully. Sir, he said. But if order means pushing little girls back into silence and shadows, then I'll choose disorder. Every time, the decision. After a long deliberation, the panel announced its decision, pending review of zoning documents and public interest. Operations at Kanyesa shall continue uninterrupted until further notice. Cheers filled the room. Caroline sat down, her hand over her mouth, tears brimming. Vincent gently placed a hand over hers. One battled down, he whispered. Many to go. Vincent's secret visitor that evening. As Vincent returned to his house, a black sedan was waiting at his gate. A tall woman in her early 50s stepped out. Vincent Benjamin, she asked. He nodded, surprised. I'm Adeswa. I knew your mother. Vincent stiffened. My mother passed years ago, he said. I know. She was my friend, and your protector, the woman replied. She handed him an envelope. Inside were photographs, letters, and a handwritten note from Isabella, his mother. If this reaches you, it means some truths must now rise. There are things about your birth, about your father's legacy, that even I couldn't say while alive. Vincent's hands trembled. Why now? He asked. Adesua replied quietly. Because the people coming for Caroline, are the same ones who once came for your father. The walls close in later. That week, an anonymous email arrived at Kanyesa's inbox. Attached was a blurry photo. Caroline walking home alone at night, clearly unaware she was being watched. The subject line read, You should have kept quiet. Caroline showed Vincent. His face darkened. We need security. Now. Warning: late afternoon sunlight filtered through the study's curtains as Adisua shared her story. She sat across from Vincent, Caroline, and Mama, her tone serious but compassionate. When you were born, Vincent, she began, your mother Isabella was working with a group of reformers, journalists, lawyers who believed in change. They uncovered abuses by certain powerful families, including Chief Ayotun's circle. Vincent frowned. My mother was risking a lot. She nodded. Yes. She had evidence, letters, testimony. They planned to release it before your father's sudden passing, but one night, it disappeared. Caroline's heart raced. Are you saying someone silenced her? Adisua held their gaze. I'm saying the same force now, threatening Kanisa, may have been behind Isabella's silencing. We must be careful, Vincent said quietly. The mysterious stranger that evening. Caroline returned home to find a stranger woman, in her late 30s, standing at the gate. She had an aura of quiet determination. You must be Caroline Umedi, she said, handing over a sealed envelope. My name is Ifeoma. I worked alongside your father, Ayodeji. I have something that belongs to you. Caroline, hesitant, accepted the envelope. Inside were Ayodeji's old reporter's notebook, complete with notes, interviews, and a single photograph pinned in its pages. A photo of Ayodeji and a younger Isabella together at a rally. This was your father's work, Ifeoma said softly. He was building something powerful until he was forced to stop. Tears filled Caroline's eyes. I don't know what to do with this, she whispered. Ifeoma smiled gently. Protect it, learn from it, and when the time is right, let the world see. Caroline's dilemma that night. Caroline sat at the veranda, Ayodeji's notebook open on her lap. Inside, his handwriting spoke in earnest views with displaced families, records of abuse, names of officials, a treasure of truth and danger. Vincent came out quietly and joined her, offering tea. You don't have to rush anything, he said. She nodded. If we go public with this, it could blow everything wide open. He placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. But as your father once said, she replied, truth must be louder than fear. Secure the future. At dawn, Vincent and Detective Alanye met again, this time to review their final security plan. Alanye confirmed key evidence had been relocated to a secure safe deposit and Ayodeji's notebook would be stored under joint custody. We'll roll out a press release this week, Vincent decided, but on our terms. A quiet night, or so they think. Late that night, as the lights dimmed in the estate, two shadows moved across the garden. Gloved hands carried tools aimed at the basement windows, where the notebook and new archive materials were kept. Inside, Caroline sensed something off, awoken by a distant whisper of metal. She grabbed Vincent, and they ran to the security team. The intruders were caught before reaching their target. Vincent held Caroline close. They were serious, he whispered, and Caroline answered, so are we. To be continued. Asterisk, if you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe to Daily African Tales, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice keeps our stories alive. Special thanks to Mr. Masson for being part of this storytelling journey.